It's so good to have you back here on Molif Media School Training Channel. I am Ife Aronokafo, your media coach. Point number 2 on why you need basic public speaking skills: self-confidence. I'm reminded of a certain day back at Splash FM when I had to do a presentation, and that was the news highlights at 11 o'clock on a certain day. I was a core member at that time, and I'd begun taking some parts of the news, and all of that. So on that day, I was seated waiting to start the news highlights, and then the studio door opened and a certain woman walked in. This is a woman I'd been hearing about. She's one of the powerful women in Ibadan. She stepped in with somebody else. Imagine a politician. She was coming for those who know, Voices on Splash FM is the top political program. So she was to be on Voices. Edmond Obilo was already seated there. Anybody who knows Ibadan knows what I'm talking about. So they were all there, and I was to do news highlights before Edmond starts his program. My confidence flew away. I was stuttering. Till this day, I don't know how I was able to get myself to wriggle out of that news highlight situation. But I had to. I had no choice, because once the mic is turned on, the show just has to go on. Yes, so I was able to conclude, and I felt so terrible. How does one's self-confidence just wash away in a moment? That was exactly what happened to me. So it taught me something. I came to broadcast. This was supposed to be broadcasting, but now I'm ending up doing two things at the same time: broadcasting and public speaking, because already you have an audience in the studio, and then you have another audience scattered. That's broadcasting. Then you have an audience in one place, public speaking. So I did not know that sometimes as a broadcaster that I might have to just be two things at the same time: a broadcaster and a public speaker. I could not manage both, because I did not even know what was happening. I could not understand that something had changed, or that, it was now a hybrid situation. But that also presented an opportunity for me to sell myself. So what public speaking skills do for you, even at basic level, is that you learn to become a better version of yourself. You learn to be an upgraded version of you. Public speaking skills gets you to a point where you're okay being the center of attraction. In fact, if somebody isn't looking at you, you're wondering, is it that I'm not doing it well enough? How come this person isn't looking at me? When you begin to practice public speaking, you'll find that you're completely worth it, and that you're worth being listened to. It brings you to a point where you have healthy self-confidence and self-esteem. I'm sure that by now you will agree that everyone on the surface of the earth needs elements of public speaking. It will definitely take you to a point where you can look anyone in the eye and say something that, even if they don't acknowledge right there, they go home to think about it. Sometimes in Nigeria, public speaking situations are not the ideal thing, of TED Talks and all of that. Sometimes it's just a hall, and everybody is just perhaps the event is fast spent and everybody wants to go home because African time had happened earlier, a lot of things. So that is why it is important for you to learn public speaking, so you know how best to manage whatever situation and still come out with a fantastic presentation. When you acquire proper public speaking skills, you will nail any presentation, anywhere, anytime. With public speaking skills, you learn how to boost your self-confidence and self-esteem to the point where you can speak anywhere, anytime, irrespective of who is in the audience. You can even interview or interact with anyone, irrespective of their level. You no longer think of people's levels before you interact with them, before you feel that you're worth interacting with them. You know that this is, first of all, a human being. So what we will do right here on Molev Media School is to demystify public speaking. This is still on self-confidence. At a time when you make the decision to acquire public speaking skills, there is also this need you begin to discover. The need for self-development and capacity building. You find that whatever you knew before becomes inadequate, because now you're going to have to relate to different people at different levels. So you have to meet everyone at a point, and that means knowing some more about almost everything you can think of. So you can never know everything. You're not an encyclopedia, but you can afford to try to know as much as you can, and to be open to new knowledge, as it were, and also to have a sense of history. And this also entails acquiring new languages and possibly getting more proficient in your preferred language of communication. Say the English language is what you want to communicate mostly in. But you find that when you go to a certain place, maybe you travel to your village and you're having to relate with kingsmen and all of that, you have to step down to the language that would create that commonality. That means that if I go to my village, I have to speak the Igbo language, and I have to be proficient in the Igbo language for me to be able to produce myself in my own place. There's this adage in Igbo language, na ana malumma sinono wepwezi. That means that beauty starts from home. You have to start exuding the beauty. You can't say that you're this if you're not able to produce in your own place. So it begins from within, and then you shine forth your light in your immediate environment, and then try to beam it to the larger world. So you have to be proficient in at least one foreign language. That is what we preach here at Molev Media School. So it is very important for you to be proficient in the language of communication. It actually boosts your confidence. Sometimes, I've had to engage people, and the reason why I get the attention is because when I start speaking, everyone turns to say, oh, who is speaking? Who just walked in? And possibly a lot of people had been presenting, that kind of thing, when it's a forum and you have different speakers and different people have stepped on stage, and possibly fatigue is setting in, or hunger. And then I walk to the stage. Just by hearing my voice, people turn, hello, somebody is here. And that works. They then begin to listen to you and possibly take away some value. So that is one thing you have to think of. How you speak, the finesse with which you speak, the push of your every word, the way you punch, the way you pause. All of those things, your mannerisms, they matter. And during our public speaking classes proper, we'll be advancing this knowledge so that you understand how to, create a presence with just your voice. And the voice is really important, because sometimes you don't have the luxury of having everyone in the same place as you. So even if you're as pretty as Princess Diana, the Princess of Wales, they don't get to see your face. If it's a virtual interaction, possibly your picture is placed and your voice laid over it as you interact. There's no way you can actually create that presence except through your voice. You have to be very competent in the use of that language of communication so that you can actually create a presence just by the sound of your voice. I am Ife Arono Okafo, and in my next video I'll be addressing point number 3 on why you need public speaking skills. Right here we train super broadcasters and public speakers. Please subscribe down below for more videos right here as we get ready for the main classes.